Today, we're pitting 60 of the most iconic horror game characters against each other to see which one will win the Squid Game.
Welcome to the Squid Game. We're excited for everyone to play.
Today's roster of contestants is as follows. Freddy Fazbear, Springtrap, Michael Afton, Glamrock Freddy, and the Mimic from Five Nights at Freddy's. Leon Kennedy, Albert Wesker, Jill Valentine, and Elsina Dimitrescu from Resident Evil. Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club. Kanito, Baldi, Amanda and Wooly from Amanda the Adventurer. Isaac Clarke, Nicole Brennan, and the slasher Nectomorph from Dead Space. Ink Demon Bendy, Henry, Boris the Wolf, Toon Bendy, and Audrey from Bendy and the Ink Machine. Poppy Playtime, Huggy Wuggy, Doughy the Dough Man, and Mommy Longlegs from Poppy Playtime. Dwight Fairfield, Eugene Lee, and Aurela Rose for Dead by Daylight Survivors. The Spirit, the Knight, and the Houndmaster for the game's killers. Amori, Theodore Peterson, aka the Neighbor, and the Guest from Hello Neighbor. Alma Wade from Fear. Slenderman, Daniel from Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Gordon and Ricky from My Friendly Neighborhood. Six and Mono from Little Nightmares. Andrew Graves and Ashley Graves from The Coffin of Andy and Laylee. Alan Wake, Miles Upshur, and Mr. Scratch from Alan Wake. Chris Walker from Outlast. Leshy from Inscription. Mr. Detective, Emio from Emio the Smiling Man. Spooky from Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion. Whiteface from I'm Scared. Bill, Zoe, Coach Ellis, and the Witch from Left 4 Dead. And finally, Luigi from the scariest game of all, Luigi's Mansion.
The following are the ground rules in this Squid Game. Number 1, no outside allies or sidekicks. 2, no outside weapons, with the sole exception of any equipment needed to survive. Number 3, to celebrate the spirit of Halloween and to accommodate for all players here, magic and natural abilities will be allowed as long as it isn't used to completely bypass the game. The first game is red light, green light. You may move forward when it shouts green light, stop when it shouts red light. If your movement is detected afterwards, you will be eliminated.
Speed, composure, and general athletic ability are the most important skills in this round. Horror game monsters known for stalking their prey will be shoo-ins here, with how patient they can be. So that means folks like Freddy Fazbear, Springtrap, Whiteface, Ink Demon Bendy, Alma Wade, and Alcinia Dimitrescu are all safe. Even Pyramid Head can make it this time around due to his constant chases with the survivors in Dead by Daylight. Likewise, horror game heroes who can keep a level head are also safe, like the Left 4 Dead survivors, the Dead by Daylight survivors, Miles Upshur, Leon, and Gordon all make it through pretty easily. For some unique cases, while magic is allowed here, teleporting straight to the finish line isn't, but still, we think the Slender Man will be able to stalk his way to the end. The Mimic has the mind of a child, but that just means she's gonna try even harder to beat this children's game. Six and Mono are fortunate enough that there are some friendly people, and would hitch a ride on Mr. Detective. Glamrock Freddy's been used to carrying Gregory through dangerous terrain, and as someone who hates cheating, we know he's gonna play fair and square. And Gordon is gonna be a good neighbor to Ricky and carry him over the goal too. As a soldier, he's more than capable of this game. And finally, despite being out of his element, Luigi barely survives. He's gone through several different haunted mansions by this point with very real threats, so we think he'll take this threat very seriously. But we also have some losses this round, due to some monsters just not getting with the program. The slasher Necromorph is as animalistic as possible, and would be shot down because it just wouldn't care about the red light.
Player eliminated.
And honestly, what the heck would it even do with the money if it won? The Witch is gonna get startled very easily, and probably race towards the nearest person after getting shot, and this would result in poor Dwight getting slashed down before the Witch got killed.
Players eliminated.
Amanda is gonna be happy playing this new game, and given how she didn't care about the scares in her games, she's more likely to laugh and mock the losers than get scared of the blood. Wooly, meanwhile, is absolutely the type to run in fear once the stakes are shown.
Player eliminated.
Poppy Playtime tried to ask Doughy for help crossing the end, but he remembered what she and her angel did to his sanctuary, and Doughy decided that playtime with Poppy was over.
Player eliminated.
And from one iconic Poppy Playtime character to another, we have Huggy Wuggy also getting shot down. Unlike Mommy Longlegs, who can comprehend the rules, Huggy is definitely the type to just charge at and kill the closest human he sees before going down.
Player eliminated.
With that human being Jill Valentine, who was unfortunately trying to play it safe by staying back before heading forward. Normally a good idea, but with vicious monsters around, it just didn't pan out well for her.
Player eliminated. 53 players remain. Let's move on to the next game, Honeycomb. Players must cut out the shape from their cookies. Those who break their cookie or run out of time will be eliminated.
Patience, steady hands, and dexterity will come in handy here, as will general resourcefulness and creativity. Those already used to cutting or cooking will be safe. Amori, Dimitrescu, and Spooky are blade wielders who are more than capable of cutting these cookies. If Lady Dimitrescu can cleanly cut off Ethan's hand, she can cut a cookie. Crafty folks are also passing here as well. Leshy created everything in his card games, including the statues, and Emio's smiling paper bags have to show some level of craftiness on his part. The neighbor and the guest are also safe here, thanks to the trap-making skills. Alan Wake definitely has the finger work here for this delicate task. Likewise, Kanito's ability to create an amusement park earns some points. The FNAF characters here will be okay, given how they're accustomed to working in food establishments and operating with all those small animatronic parts. Andrew Graves is going to be happy carving out a cookie instead of a human for once, and will also carve Ashley's cookie for her, albeit after she pressures him into it. Their game has a choices matter system where Andrew can either decide to embrace being as messed up as his sister in the burial route, or realize his own faults and hate himself, and especially his sister in the decay route. Which path are these two from? We'll have to see. Luigi's fire and lightning powers from his hand can help him easily heat the cookie to make carving easier, and seeing Alma, still in her kid form, getting angry and frustrated at being essentially another test subject again, he would take pity on the child ghost and volunteer to do her cookie for free. Needless to say, Alma will be keeping tabs on him for his unexpected selfless act. As for eliminations here, we're gonna just cut straight to the point. Whiteface is out.
Player eliminated.
He's literally just a floating face with no hands. So good luck trying to carve that cookie. While Pyramid Head is definitely used to cutting people with his giant blade, that's a giant blade. We feel like he'll fail to properly translate his big blade skills to a small blade and be too rough on his cookie.
Player eliminated.
And speaking of strength, Chris Walker's super strength and lack of control are going to lead to him crushing the cookie while trying to open the tin.
Player eliminated.
6 is also out of the running here.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Letting her gluttony guide her to eat the cookie instead of carving it. Mono was going to help her, but he remembered what she did to him at the end of Little Nightmare 2 and decided to pay her back in full by letting her feast.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
Slenderman could cut the cookie himself, but he had a better plan, hypnotizing a more competent contestant into doing it for him, and crushing their cookie to thin the competition a bit. Given how poor Daniel's mental state isn't the most stable on the sanity meter, Slenderman decided to sabotage him.
Player eliminated.
Mr. Scratch was doing fine cutting his cookie, but as someone who prefers the quiet, hearing Ellis ramble enough to put the scout from Team Fortress 2 to shame would be incentive enough for him to stop carving his cookie and carve out Ellis's throat.
Player, you have been eliminated.
However, while gone, Boris, who got so hungry after carving out his cookie, saw the free cookie and snacked on it without a care. So sorry, Mr. Scratch, but you got scratched off. And speaking of bendy characters, Audrey was a cartoonist, so she would have no problem carving her cookie, but also helped Toon Bendy carve out his. Ink Demon Bendy, however, despite the confusion on how his perfected Toon form is here, would take the chance to try and absorb him and off Audrey for ruining his cycle by destroying their cookies. Henry, seeing the Ink Demon make a move, broke its cookie and told the guards that the demon failed to carve his cookie, leading to the guards cutting Ink Demon Bendy's revenge quite short.
Player eliminated.
Mommy Longlegs is leaving here.
Player, you have been eliminated.
We can at least see some potential for Doughy using his body to stick against the cookie to help it keep its shape, but with Mommy Longlegs' long legs, we don't think she's going to be able to keep it together enough to finish the job. Likewise, and finally, with her long arms and chaotic personality, the Mimic is not stable enough to cut through this round.
Player, you have been eliminated. 43 players remain. It's time for our next game, six-legged pentathlon. The rules are as follows. Players will split up into groups of 5, tie their legs together, and move in tandem around a track. Every 10 meters, one player will play a mini-game until it is completed, with each member playing once. The goal is to complete all games in the allotted time, repeating each one until it is complete.
So here are the mini-games. Diaki, throw a paper tile at the ground to flip over another paper tile. Flying Stone, throw a small stone at another small stone to knock it down. Gongi, a traditional game of Korean jacks. Spinning Top. And Jeggy, kick a jeggy in the air 5 times in a row, kinda like hacky sack. Balance, composure, and general gaming prowess are important characteristics for this game, but arguably most important is teamwork and the ability to put together a good team. This will be the point in the games where alliances and teams start to be formed. Of course, partners and teams are already in a good spot here. This includes a couple of alliances like Henry, Boris, Toon Bendy, and Audrey, Isaac and Nicole, and Ashley and Andrew Graves. Despite losing Ellis, Bill, Zoe, and Coach are gonna keep the team strong, and their skills in surviving a zombie apocalypse should make it easy. That said, because they're carrying a virus that turns others into zombies unwillingly, they're gonna be careful and choose the spirit in the night, believing they won't be able to get infected. Yoonjin Lee may be more selfish than the horror-loving Aurella, but she knows that it's important to follow the rules to stay safe, at least for now. Albert Wesker, meanwhile, respects Lee's hustle. Using his zombie and horror knowledge, he convinces Aurella that he's more charming than he is, appealing to her love of horror. From the last round, Alma has decided to stick close to Luigi, much to his nerves' dismay. Some solo players are making smart moves. Monica is sweet enough to blend in with compassionate players. Kanito, intrigued by her connection with the player, keeps an eye on her. Lady Dimitrescu, with her personality, easily convinces a few man-things to work for her. Unfortunately, my friendly neighborhood is in trouble. Gordon and Ricky are out.
Players eliminated.
Ricky is kind, but as a sock puppet with no hands, he can't compete. Since he's a package deal with Gordon, any teammates are doomed. Without Poppy or other monsters around, Doey would have happily teamed up with them.
Player eliminated.
Seeing Ricky's kindness, Amanda would have joined too, thinking they were safe picks.
Player eliminated.
Baldy would have rounded out the group, hoping it could be a teaching opportunity for Amanda. Instead, they all learned one lesson: only work with puppets that have arms.
Player, you have been eliminated.
As for the leftovers, Springtrap mysteriously suffered a spring lock failure after chasing Spooky post Honeycomb and crashing into Glamrock Freddy, Freddy Fazbear, and Michael Afton. Nobody is picking this double-dead corpse.
Player eliminated.
Our two losers are the Houndmaster, who's used to working alone with dogs and quickly alienated teammates who didn't appreciate being treated like one, and Mono, who was simply too small for anyone to notice in time.
Players eliminated. 35 players remain. Our next game is Mingle. Here are the rules. Players will stand on a rotating platform in the center of a large circular room. At any given moment, a number will be called out, at which point players have 30 seconds to get into groups of said number and secure a room for themselves. Any player who does not find a room with the correct number of players will be eliminated.
Speed, composure, and ruthlessness are your best friends in this round. Which characters are physically able to make sure they get a room, and which ones would actually do what it took to go through with it. Henry, Boris, Toon Bendy, and Audrey are in a solid position as a group of 4, giving them flexibility in where to go. Bill, Zoe, and Coach may be down a teammate, but Mr. Detective managed to slip into their room at the last second during the 4 round, saving them for now, but unknowingly damning himself with infection. Leon, Isaac, and Nicole have gone up against towering monsters in the past, so this game seems manageable in comparison, even if it is nerve-wracking.
That went well.
Luigi, Alma, Spooky, and Freddy Fazbear were racing against the clock in the 2 round with only one open door left. It looked like a double sacrifice was inevitable, but then Luigi's logic kicked in. The rules never said the room had to have an open door, pointing to a closed room that never got opened. Luigi had Alma and Spooky phase inside, while he and Freddy took the open room. And sure enough, it worked, as they all survived. Despite her revenge-driven motives, the spirit didn't really kill anyone besides her father. So when she saw Yoonjin Lee try to ditch Aurella for an empty spot, the spirit used her last moments to pull Yoon out and let Aurella live, even if it meant dying herself.
Players eliminated.
With so many humans left, the monsters had a field day. Alan Wake's temper led him to try and cut off the night, only to get tossed aside at the last second.
Player eliminated.
Theodore Peterson may be crafty, but he isn't as ruthless as the guest, who had no problem leaving him to die, so good night, neighbor.
Player eliminated.
Leshy might make one addictive card game, but raw strength matters more here, and he couldn't keep up with the other monsters.
Player eliminated.
Miles Upshur had the sense not to look directly at Slenderman, avoiding hypnosis. Unfortunately, Slenderman simply used his tentacles to pin Miles' foot and stepped into the room, leaving him behind.
Player eliminated.
And despite her popularity, because players had to huddle and squeeze in tight groups, more players than you would think Didn't want to be shoulder to shoulder with a 9-foot-tall vampire.
Player eliminated.
Sure, most of the guys didn't seem to mind, but a lot of the other contestants are females or monsters. And sadly, we also have to say goodbye to Glamrock Freddy.
Player eliminated.
He sacrificed himself for Gregory after knowing him only a day. Faced with the choice of saving himself or the innocent-looking Canito, Freddy gave his life without hesitation. Finally, even 3 rounds can be deadly. Andrew and Ashley Graves ended up outside a room already occupied by Monica and Amori. Since Amori embodies guilt, he targeted Andrew's own guilt. Ashley brushed off his concerns, telling him to either pull someone out or just leave himself. Pushed too far, Andrew snapped. He punched Ashley aside and closed the door on her.
Player eliminated.
And honestly, Andrew upgrading from Ashley to Monica is kind of the deal of the century, so don't blow it.
26 players remain. Congratulations to everyone who made it this far. It's time for the next game, Hide and Seek. Players will be separated into 2 teams, Hiders Blue and Seekers Red. Seekers will be given a knife with the requirement of killing at least 1 hider within the time limit. Hiders will be given one of 3 keys, gaining access to various doors and hiding places throughout the arena. They must either find a 3-keyed exit before time is up, or simply stay alive for 30 minutes. Additionally, Seekers are not allowed to hunt each other.
For this game, roles are selected randomly, and players have a few moments to swap teams if they choose, but only if 2 players mutually agree. With that said, here's how we think the teams would pan out. The hiders include Michael Afton, Leon Kennedy, Canito, Nicole Brennan, Boris the Wolf, Toon Bendy, Aurelia, Alma, Andrew Graves, Mr. Detective, Zoe, Coach, and Luigi. And our seekers include Freddy Fazbear, Albert Wesker, Monica, Isaac Clarke, Henry, Audrey, The Knight, Amori, the guests Slenderman, Emio, Spooky, and Bill. Hiders will want stealth on their side, but if they run into a seeker, they'll either need the speed to outrun them or the strength to defend themselves. Seekers will need strength and speed for obvious reasons, but also the sheer brutality required to eliminate their opponent. Now, it's the assassin's time to shine, and the hider's time to make sure they do not find them. Boris was already used to venturing on his own and avoiding danger in the Lone Wolf. Even with a friendly Toon Bendy to watch over, the 2 made steady progress towards the exit. Along the way, Emio tracked him down and offered a helping hand. Boris smelled trouble. Just before Toon Bendy could reach out, Boris jumped between them, shoving Emio away. He took the slash himself while Toon Bendy escaped.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Michael, at this point, was little more than a shambling corpse, kept alive only by his desire to kill his father. Finally, he decided it was time to rest and allowed Freddy to jump scare him one last time.
Player eliminated.
Luigi was terrified, but when another scream rang out, he forced himself forward to help. He found Alma Wade paralyzed before Slenderman, whose presence reminded her too much of the Creep, the one figure she truly feared. Before Slenderman could strike, Luigi tackled him, desperate to fight him off. Could Luigi beat Slenderman? With his full inventory, yes. On his own, maybe not. Thankfully, Alma had grown fond of Luigi. She yanked him out of danger, denying Slenderman a kill, and then burned down the Knight when he tried to slash Luigi from behind.
Players eliminated.
Andrew was just relieved to be rid of Ashley, but on this decayed path, he debated whether to keep going or let a seeker finish him. Monica encouraged him to push on. When Andrew tried to offer his life to her, admitting that taking responsibility was his first step towards redemption, she told him she believed he could make it. We're not pretending Andrew is Mr. Did Nothing Wrong. He has plenty to atone for. But when even the demonic overlord, Lord Unknown, confronts him, some wiggle room feels justified. And Monica, with her own past, would be a hypocrite to condemn him. As for her target, once she learns that Canito kidnaps players to keep his forced friends forever, she didn't hesitate. With her love for players, that wasn't gonna fly.
Player eliminated.
Mr. Detective was weakened from the virus he unknowingly caught while teaming with the Left 4 Dead crew. When he realized the truth, he knew the best option was for him, Bill, Zoe, and Coach to be killed and burned to stop the spread.
Players eliminated.
The others couldn't argue. They allowed 3 sympathetic seekers, Henry, Audrey, and Amori, to finish it by tossing knives at them from a safe distance. Seeker Bill simply self-quarantined until the end of the round.
Player eliminated.
No one was happy about it, though Amori is rarely happy.
Emotional, damn it!
But it had to be done. Leon guided Arella through the maze, but Wesker had been charming her since the third round. He lured her with the promise of a real exit. Leon rushed after them, but was too late, as Wesker slit Arella's throat.
Player eliminated.
That just left the guest and Spooky chasing Nicole. Isaac, unamused, held them back as best he could, determined that Nicole survived this time. He charged into the guest, blocking a stabbing attempt. The guest lashed out in a frenzy, biting and slashing Isaac fatally, only to die himself for breaking the rules.
Players eliminated.
Sadly, Nicole still wasn't safe. Spooky phased straight through the chaos and caught her off guard, and Nicole was dead.
Player eliminated. 13 players remain. It's time for the next game. Marbles. You will play the game of your choice with your partner. The player to take all 10 marbles wins. The loser will be eliminated.
Players pair up in teams of 2. However, it's revealed that they'll be playing against each other, meaning your opponent is likely the person in the game closest to you. You can play a game of luck or a game of skill. You can play fair or you can play dirty. But one thing is for sure, whoever you're teamed up with is going to have to be eliminated in order for you to move on. So let's see how the teams panned out. First up is Freddy Fazbear versus Spooky. Spooky was able to pick up on the fact that this animatronic had a kid spirit haunting it, allowing her to feel like this could be an even match. Between the two spirits, we feel like they would play a game of luck, like odd or even marbles, with Freddy using his animatronic prowess to realize Spooky's hands were transparent enough for the marbles to be seen through. She wasn't ready for Freddy.
Player eliminated.
Then there's Leon versus Albert Wesker. Leon only teamed up with Wesker just to ensure he doesn't do any more funny business. Hearing that he would be facing him in marbles, Leon challenged Wesker to a sharpshooting challenge, to shoot a marble with another marble from a distance. Unfortunately, he did not prepare himself for how skilled Wesker was. Wesker demonstrated near superhuman precision and got the win over Leon.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Monica versus Andrew Graves. Originally teaming up because the two genuinely felt comfortable with each other, once the nature of the game was revealed, Andrew wasted no time in deciding to do his first and possibly last purely selfless act for the one person he saw who had seen his worst and still thought he could be redeemed, giving Monica his marbles and going up to the guards empty-handed.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Monica was grateful for Andrew's sacrifice and plotted her own idea on what she could do after the games to repay him. Henry versus Audrey. They have similar sets of skills as cartoonists and survivors of the ink machine, so they decided to do something crafty with their marbles for their game. Whoever can make a better looking bendy face out of marbles wins. And in the end, Audrey was able to win thanks to using her ink powers to help paint in the shape more, something Henry didn't consider.
Player eliminated.
Moving on to Amori versus Emio, and this is a matchup of the ages. Amori is stoic enough not to get phased out by Emio's paper bag face, and was able to pry at Emio's insecurities, asking if he had any family members in his life, like a sister perhaps. Needless to say, this got under Emio's skin after what happened in his past, and Amori was able to eke out a win.
Player eliminated.
Now we get to Alma versus Luigi. Luigi knows Alma hasn't even lived a true life yet, so he'll offer her his marbles without a struggle. At this point, Alma made up her mind about Luigi. He's her new dad now. To protect her father, Alma opened up a portal through the Almaverse, letting Luigi sneak out of the games without having to use one of his many one-ups.
Player eliminated.
Which gives him a chance to fill out the adoption forms, at least. And this leaves Toon Bendy as the odd one out, who is happily content playing with his toy train instead of marbles.
Only 7 players remain. It's time to move on to our penultimate game, Jump Rope. In this game, players must cross a dangerous bridge while making sure they aren't knocked off by a gigantic double Dutch-style jump rope. They'd best be careful, because the rope speeds up over time, and they only have 20 minutes to cross.
Unlike last stepping stones, there's no reliance on luck here. Just sheer agility, speed, and composure. You'll need courage, balance, and good timing to get through this round. People with kind hearts could help weaker players cross, but those with a more mischievous nature could easily sabotage the game to help their own chances. But let's see who's still standing at the moment. Freddy Fazbear, Albert Wesker, Monica, Toon Bendy, Audrey, Amori, and Alma Wade. Albert Wesker was the first to cross, commenting on how this was literal child's play. Toon Bendy seemed to have overheard that and wanted to go next. Wesker and Audrey were encouraging him, but just before he reached the end, Wesker punched Toon Bendy's floating head so much it spun right into the chasm, right alongside his body.
Player eliminated.
This made him immediately hated by the other contestants, with him daring them to chase him. Alma proved she didn't need to worry about the jump rope, by just floating across the chasm to get to him, immediately worrying him as he stepped back. And this allowed Amori, Monica, and Audrey to follow suit and chase him, being fit enough for this not to be a problem. But Freddy, listen, you're indie horror game royalty, but we don't think you get past this. Jumping in time to a slowly increasing jump rope at the tail end of the line, with your speed and your weight, unfortunately this is where Freddy says goodbye.
Player eliminated. 5 players remain. It is now time for the final round. Prepare for our final game. Squid Game.
This game is designed for at least 4 players with at least 3 eliminations. Players press a button on each tower to begin the round, after which they'll have a set amount of time to push at least one living player off the tower. Once a player is pushed off, the others may move on to the next tower. However, many players are on the final circle-shaped tower at the end after at least one player was eliminated, will be crowned the winner or winners of the Squid Game. The remaining players can either depend on diplomacy to decide which player to gang up on, or they can just jump into a full-on brawl and see how things turn out. Starting at the square tower, Audrey immediately closed the gap between her and Wesker, wanting to avenge Toon Bendy. While Audrey's own ink powers were able to have her give him the slip a couple times, Wesker's prototype virus was more than able to push back Audrey. Monica was trying to demand an explanation for what Wesker is. Alma was getting the vibes of something very familiar in her own life, and Amori was just watching everything unfold, ready for anything. With it just being Audrey versus Wesker, Wesker once more triumphed and tossed her off the tower.
Player eliminated.
When the 4 remaining move over to the triangle tower, Wesker decided to answer Monica's questions and indulged in his monologue about how he was on the verge of greatness with his research and science, pushing him into godhood, and how the money and research on everyone here would help make the dream a reality. The terms research and science triggered Alma's fight or flight instincts, and she chose to fight with a fiery vengeance, not willing to be used as another test subject again. Seeing Alma in a furious state, Amori decided to come in with the status debuff by reading Wesker a sad poem, forcing him to become sad. Just like in Amori, angered people are stronger against saddened people, giving Alma an easy layup to literally burn Wesker and everything he stood for to ash.
Player eliminated.
Giving her some more closure knowing the world had one less rotten scientist. And finally, at the Circle Tower, it was just Amori, Monica, and Alma, and at this point, no one was up for any more bloodshed after getting through essentially almost 8 rounds of a horror map. Even Alma lost the will to fight at this point. Monica has been through more than she could ever imagine as a sentient computer program turned human in Squid Game, and Amori can see that these two need a push. His stoic nature allowed him to call out Monica and Alma, asking them if they think they truly deserve forgiveness and a second chance, really think winning the game would help them. With Monica knowing she has a club to make up to and Alma knowing there's peace beyond these games, they promptly decide to shut him up, with Monica deciding to break out his coding powers to mute him and delete his attacks as Alma tossed Amori off the tower.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Despite beating Amori and the Squid Game, both Alma and Monica both know that their future is still uncertain, but by accepting their darkest moments as something set in stone, they can choose to work towards a brighter future, even if they won't be forgiven by those close to them right away.
With that, this Squid Game of Scares has come to an end. Congratulations to Monica and Alma Wade. Not only did you two win the game and the cash, but Alma has been adopted by Luigi.